Terry today.
No, I didn't. He was busy doing a write-up for something with the AMA.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
they've got like 250,000 members and whatnot. Do you know what you're giving away tonight?
I am giving away a poster for trivia, and I'm giving away stickers for What's It Worth, and I'm giving a mag light. They're back in stock for viewer appreciation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. And I need to start the show at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Let it rip.
I've got a lot of stuff here. That's why I can't. All right, let's just hit it. Great. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I am your host, Joe Abbate. Thank you for joining me tonight. We've got a really great show lined up for you. I've got a bike from George Ackerman. I've got a video from Roy Vanderveer. Got another great video from Brab Suspension. That's right, Roger Neth is back at it again. Got a lot of really cool stuff going on. And Susie's with me. Susie, how's everything over there?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What are we giving away tonight as far as some prizes? We got a few things going on.
We have a beautiful poster. Who's the poster from?
The poster is compliments of Mike McCook and Motorcyclist Illustrated. I don't have a picture of it here on the screen, but that is the one of Tony DiStefano.
Oh, okay. So that's for trivia, and then we have stickers for What's It Worth and viewer appreciation. We have those lovely mag lights that Tyler McGregor likes so much.
Well, he likes them, but who are they compliments of? Who gave us those?
Compliments of Amsoil.
Amsoil. Thank you, Russell Waters. All right, we'll be back with you in just a minute, Sue. In the meantime, I want to thank our other sponsors who help make this show possible. Here they are. Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Motion Pro, Boltaco East, Sirius Studios, Vinco, Full Circle Racing, Preston Petty Products. And don't forget, if you want to be a member or be a contributor to the show, $49.95 will get you a shirt, a Vintage Motocross Q&A shirt, or a shirt like I'm wearing right here. We'll give you a picture of that a little bit later on in the show. You get your name up on the board. You also get 4 products compliments of Russell Waters and Amsoil. Thank you, Trail Rider Magazine and Kurt Flash, as well as Steve Bauer and the Big Air Kids Fair 2025. No matter where you are in the world, if you're watching this show, do me a favor, share it with your friends, whether you're on Facebook or you are on YouTube. And we'll have a viewer appreciation prize a little bit later on, amongst some other prizes as well. In the meantime, we've got an interesting video from Roy Vanderveer this week, and let's get right to that. It's about reed valve pedals. I bet you didn't know about this. Check this out.
Vanderveer here. Welcome to this week's edition of Next Time Try This. I have a set of reed pedals in front of me that I am going to do something that will increase their longevity and probably improve their performance. If you're using that are die stamped, which means they're impact cut one at a time, by manufacturing them that way, you get frayed edges all the way around the reed pedal. Now I've already prepared this edge and it's perfectly smooth. If I try that with this edge, it should snag. I can definitely feel it. See if I get close enough, maybe you can see it. So that's because the edges of the reed have been impact cut, which fractures the fiberglass. So you end up with a lot of little loose ends hanging out of the edge of the reed pedal. That's one. Number two, it makes a square edge. And the last thing we want on the corner of the reed is a square edge as it opens and closes and impacts the valve seat over here. So to get this smooth edge, you just take some sandpaper. This is 600 wet dry. Put a little lubricant on it. I like to use my finger because that's soft enough to round the edge of the pedal a little bit. So we can get rid of that square edge and have a rounded edge, which is a lot less likely to split or fracture. So just with that, now it's nice and smooth. My fingernail doesn't snag on anything. 600 grit is good. You can do 800, 1,000, 2,000. Make yourself as crazy as you want. Too smooth is not possible. You also have to get the inside of the reed. Oh, this one's really rough through here. So it takes a lot of time to get these inner holes all sorted out. The outer edges, not so bad. Once you have all the edges prepped, put it together as per normal procedure. And while I had this one apart, I thought I'd share with you something I do when somebody's been using RTV sealant, which isn't really the right stuff. It's hard to get this stuff off, and I always like to start with a clean slate. And I found that a wire wheel on a drill does a great job of making quick work of getting rid of all this stuff. I have a brass wheel somewhere, but I can't find it. Steel works okay, brass is better, and we'll just give it a little, and just like that, gone. Now you might be seeing a little bit of rubber come off there, and that's okay. Oops, let's get a new paper towel. That's okay because this has a built-in O-ring, which after 40 years of being out in the world, that O-ring can't be trusted anyway. So if you have an original reed block and you're still using the original stuff, take some Yamabond 4 and put a nice bead of it on here, smooth it out, kind of leave it a little bit thick, and let it set up for a while, and then assemble the whole thing. That way you're assured, as much as you can be, that you're not going to have any air leak problems here. I would not trust this for a minute, putting it together without a sealer on it. Now this side, it's again, that'll be fine. So that should help make your ride a little better. If you're using impact die stamped reeds, that's what you need sandpaper for. If you're using Vinco reeds, which are CNC machined, they're already smooth as glass, so you don't have to worry about it. So whether you're using this or using that, there's some things you can do to help make your intake system a little better.
We'll be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Hi, I'm Warren Reed. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
Vinco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Vinco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The Vinco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Vinco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Vinco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
Vinco. They've got the thing you've been looking for quite some time now. 1974 KX 450 pistons. They've got them in standard, first over, and second over, just $189.95. That's at Vinco.com. And if you order and you get something over $200, you get free priority shipping. Can't beat that. Vinco.com. There's some other really cool stuff that they always have there too. Gears and rods and petcocks and the Fox air shocks. They got over 1,000 products in their catalog at this point. What's it worth? That's always a big question. What's It Worth is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Be sure to visit Tom McAllister online at FullCircleRacingLimited.com. This week we're taking a look at a 1994 ATK 406. I think this is one of the coolest bikes ever. Really, I do. You're going to see why in just a minute. But before I get to that, I did promise you that we were going to give away stickers like this. Vintage Motocross Q&A stickers just like this. You'll get 2 for whoever gets closest without going over to the price of this bike. And here it is right here again. It's 1994. 406. The bike was purchased by the seller in 2003. Reportedly, it went from the original owner and its owner, and it was powered by an air-cooled 399cc two-stroke single paired with a 5-speed transmission. One of the things I love about this bike, check out this disc brake that is attached to the countershaft sprocket. You never see that. And there's that link that's a Boysen Reed. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Boysen Rad valves or Boysen Reed valves, but that's that Boysen link. Anyway, let me get back to this and stick to the script here. ATK 406 is now offered with no reserve in Canada with British Columbia registration in the name of the seller's spouse. The Acerbis white plastic bodywork wears red, white, and blue graphics, and it's mounted over a chrome moly frame. Its equipment also includes a red contoured solo seat, high-mounted rear fender and front fender as well, a headlight, a tail light, serrated foot pegs, and the side stand. Wire spokes and wheels with the stainless steel spokes are wrapped on Bridgestone and Dunlop knobby tires. Adjustable suspension consists of a leading axle telescopic fork, as well as a WP monoshock with a remote reservoir connected to the chromoly boxed swing arm. Braking is provided by front and rear disc brakes with Grimeca calipers. And in addition to that, it's got that third Grimeca disc brake mounted on the engine countershaft that's also controlled by the rear brake. I didn't realize. Now, wait a minute. Let's take a look at this again, guys. That's the back wheel. Here's another shot of the back wheel here. I never realized, wow, it's got the back brake on the countershaft, and it's got a back brake where you normally see a back brake too. Very cool. I love this bike. I always thought it was absolutely awesome. Anyway, the braking is provided on the rear with Grimeca calipers, additional to the third one on the countershaft sprocket. The air-cooled 399cc two-stroke single is sourced from Rotax, equipped with a Kickstarter, a 38mm Mikuni carb, stainless steel expansion chamber, and exhaust system. And if we look a little closer at this bike, it's got a really, I just love everything about it. Look at the chrome. I mean, look at the nickel plating on the frame. It's got a Rotax engine. Those things are reliable as a claw hammer. It's got the WP forks up front. It's got that single shock in the back, only on one side of the swing arm. You see that? Only on one side of the swing arm. You can see it here a little bit better, and it is not on the right side of the bike. See it in this picture? No shock.
What year is that bike?
1994. And it is an ATK, and it didn't last very long. Now, the question is, how much do you think this bike recently stole for? It did sell on Bring a Trailer. $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. This bike sold for $6,600 plus a 5% buyer fee, which is another $320, something like that. So we'll call it $69,000. Anybody that's around $6,900 or less, I'll give the stickers to. Susie, I want to put you on screen here so people see how beautiful you are again. You've got anything there? Who?
Yeah, I think we have.
Who do we have?
John McNulty at $6,575.
Anybody over $6,575 and under $6,900?
$6,575.
I don't think so.
No.
Not according to what I'm saying. John McNulty, you are tonight's winner of the beautiful Vintage Motocross Q&A stickers. We'll send you 2. Send me your mailing address, John, and I'll get you 2 stickers, compliments of Susie Creates and Vintage Motocross Q&A. I was telling you a little bit earlier about those shirts. Yeah, you can get one of these for $49.95 if you want to be a show supporter. All right, you could be a show supporter, and you'll get a shirt like that, and you'll also get four items from Vinco, from Amsoil.
And those yellow ones are hot for the summer.
Those yellow ones are beautiful too. Now, if you don't want to be a supporter of the show and your budget only goes to $24.95, just get a shirt.
Well, Stephen Gruel said 67. Wait a minute. Where is he, Stephen?
Stephen Gruel, he just won something from us not too long ago too. But I'll tell you what. Stephen Gruel and John McNulty, send me your addresses. You'll both get some stickers. Fair enough?
Yeah.
All right. We are now going to hear from our sponsor. Who do we have here? Boy, I'll tell you. Oh, that's right. Full Circle Racing. We'll be right back.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer's simple. It's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
All right, we're back in Vintage Motocross Q&A. You know, I've been doing my morning show at 9 o'clock. It's called Tank Bangers. And a question that a lot of people have asked me over the years, and I've sometimes wondered myself, is when you sand, how far do you sand? How far can you go? What's going to happen? When am I going to go through? Let me show you what I did. I took this off of a 79 CR 125 tank. Let me just show you a little video of that first. And yeah, I just figured I'd cut a piece out of this donor tank that I had. So I cranked up the compressor, took out my whizzer wheel, and I had my way with the panel on the bottom of this tank. In a couple of minutes, I made quick work of it, popped it out. And then today, I went out and put that panel in my vise, but not before I did a little bit of measuring. And when I measured it, right after I cut it out, it measured, see, here it is right here. It measured 0.066, which is just about a little bit more than a 16th of an inch. And if you're looking at it in millimeters, it's 1.84 millimeters. I've talked about with you before, and we've talked about an Elsinore tank being 2 millimeters thick. There's a video of this, actually, if you go and look on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page after this show. You'll see me hammering away at this, sanding on it, taking it down with 80 grit, 180, 240, 320, really working that metal down. I measured it, I remeasured it, and I went from 1.84 millimeters down to 1.70. Well, what does that mean, Joe? 0.15 millimeters. It means a sheet of paper. After all that sanding, after all that banging, a sheet of paper. Go watch the video. You'll see it right before your eyes. And it's not so much the sanding, it's the lifting, the prying, the hammer on dolly. You want to get it as close as possible before you start sanding. And that's why you'll take away less material. So a lot of people have had that question over the years, and I wanted to bring it up. And I also wanted to give a little plug to our morning show. What do I call it, Susie? Tank Bangers.
Tank Bangers.
Oh, you know what time it is, Susie?
What?
Trivia. Trivia is on, all right? Trivia is brought to you, of course, by Michael McCook and Motorcyclist Illustrated. You can find that beautiful page on Facebook. Now, we all remember back in 1974 where the world's greatest stuntman and showman, Evel Knievel, attempted to jump the Snake River Canyon in a steam-powered sky cycle. All right, it was probably the most illustrious failure in all of stunt history, but no one will ever forget it, that's for sure. There's a motocross race there that day too, or that whole weekend. All right, it's a big event. Here's the question. Here's the trivia. This is a call-in contest. Here is your question. How many years did Evel Knievel promote the Snake River Motocross? We remember 74. How many other times did he do it? This is a call-in contest. You are going to call in right now at area code 925-784-2195. That's area code 925-784-2195. We'll be standing by waiting for a winner. In the meantime, Dave's Classic Corner. My good friend Dave Boydston sends us a bike every week, goes around with his camera, gives us a blow-by-blow description of how wonderful the bike is. It's for sale. He's had it in his collection. He tells us all kinds of really cool stuff. And AMS is a wonderful supplier of vintage motocross parts. Be sure to get a hold of them at 480-610-4574, or you can follow them at amsracing.com. You want to see some really cool videos all day long live from bike shows, car shows, and just all-around general coolness in Arizona? Follow Dave Boydston on Facebook. In the meantime, we're going to scroll right down here as we wait for a call in for our trivia contest. We're going to go down to Dave's Corner, see what Dave's got for us today.
It's a load time, original 1974 CR250. It is 48 vent numbers between the frame and the engine, as the ID book says. It's got a very low time pipe put back on it. Had a race pipe on it that was brand new also. Spokes in the wheels are clean. Stock shocks. Right carburetor. Tank's not perfect. Seat's not perfect. All controls are the originals. Bars, levers, kill switch. Spokes, rims. Even the bolt-on foot peg. All the original cables on it. Gary Jones and his brother Dwayne and his father Don did a great job taking this bike from the drawing board and making it the refined version that got released to the American public. 1973, everything changed with this bike. That's the correct rear sprocket, shocks, chain guide, foot pegs, shift lever. That's a 75 engine cover on the Magneto. I always thought it looked a little more works with that little dimple in it. But there's a very original pipe, the hanger, and the silencer, and the little bracket clamp. That's the original seat cover on a great piece of foam with a real nice seat pan. That's the optional carburetor on the Microfiche, but apparently in 74 the bigger 2mm carburetor was on most of the bikes. 74 Elsinore 250. Bruce Barron won the very first race in America on it. Trans Am qualifier at Saddleback Park. Had a red shirt on, orange red with white sleeves. No name of Honda on the shirt, yet he was hired as a test rider for the bike. Bruce Barron was a good friend of mine and taught a lot of us how to wreck and how to look out for him wrecking us. He was a great rider with a lot of style. And the Elsinore 250, Eierstedt, Mosier, Gary Jones, Dwayne Jones, even Gary Chaplin. Quite a few people rode the Elsinore 250. This is a game changer, and this is original bike. I think I'm going to be taking it to Mid, Ohio and seeing if I could sell it there. There you go.
Thank you, Dave Boydston. Be sure to follow Dave on Facebook.
Hey, I'm Brad Lackey, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Be right back.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. All of your donations or anything you purchase from the International Motocross Museum is 100% tax deductible. Get over there and visit them at internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. I ran that commercial intentionally to give you people a chance to go over to your computer or your phone and find out how many years Evel Knievel ran the Snake River Canyon motocross before he actually jumped it. Susie tells me the phones are dead. Dead. I will tell you.
You already gave me a hint.
Did I?
Yeah, you said 74.
Oh, no, I told him 74, and I wanted to know what other years did Evel Knievel promote the Snake River Canyon motocross. Now, what can I tell you? I guess I could tell you Nixon was president. Let's get on with the Here's the Problem segment tonight, brought to you by Motion Pro. Finest tools, cables, and controls can be had at Motion Pro. Be sure to visit them online at motionpro.com. Let's get to the first question. Doug Choris. Hey, Joe, question for you. If you don't mind, what is your go-to available vintage appearing rear tire for a 400 or 450 18 rear? Doug sent this to me a few days ago. I wanted to share it on the show. I immediately answered with go to V-brand rubber. V-brand is a great vintage look. There it is right here. And what you want to do, Doug, or anybody else, if you are looking for V-brand, you can go on eBay and buy them in pairs if you can. What you're looking for are V-brand vintage reserve pattern. VRP. So if you buy one of their rear tires, get the front one in the same place. I've made the mistake of where they're V brand, but they're not the same vintage reserve style. Be careful with that, and you're going to be really happy. I've used them on a lot of bikes. You know what I love best about them? I love the tread pattern. They really look original, old school, but more importantly, the aspect ratio on the side of this tire, it says 400 by 18 or 325 by 18 or 275 by 21. You don't get that on your modern tires. Vintage looking sidewall, vintage looking pattern. I think that Ben Thomas had a question about this that I was showing.
Can you do me a favor first? Repeat the phone number.
The phone number for the trivia?
Yeah.
Area code 925-784-2195.
Thank you.
That's area code 925-784-2195. Ben Thomas wanted to know if the side panels of an Elsinore tank are the same thickness as the bottom. Yes, they are.
Okay.
All right. That was Doug's question. I got around to the V brand. All right. Johnny Cotrera has the next question. Joe, on a 1977 CR500 clutch cover. Any suggestions? I polish it like a mirror. It frosts up quickly, like in a few months. I think you're getting that. Well, I was going to say you're getting that because of the heat from the clutch and the engine, but I'm not so sure about that. I also don't know how far you're going with your polishing. You say it's like a mirror. Are you wet sanding it right down and then polishing with different compounds? I don't really know. Also, not only the heat from the engine, you're riding the bike, is your boot rubbing against it? That's going to detract from it as well. You could do one of two things. You could polish it again and you could anodize it, clear anodizing. That's going to wear off after a while. You're going to have the same problem you had originally. You could clear powder coat it. That's going to last a little bit longer, but not forever. Or every couple of months, you can get out that soft towel and that compound and have at it again. But that's about all you can do to make stuff like that shine forever. You know, between the heat and the wear from your boot and whatnot, it's going to cause a little havoc with that. Kind of hard to keep clutch covers, ignition covers shiny. Next question. Best stuff to soak older carbs from MX bikes in. This is from Mitch Brown. Mitch Brown, the best stuff you will ever buy is available at every auto parts store around the globe. It is called Chem Dip. It is by Berryman. It's been around for over 100 years. It's in a gallon can just like this, same size as a paint can, and it's got a basket with a handle. You take the carburetor apart, completely apart. You put it in that basket along with the body and the bowl. Put it back in the can, let it sit overnight. And you're going to have a nice clean carburetor in the morning, all right? And you can reuse it a bunch of times too. Berryman's. That segment is, of course, brought to you by Motion Pro. 20% off across the board at everything at motionpro.com. When you check out, type in the code MP9135. That's MP9135. Thank you, Russell Waters, for all the great gifts you give us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, for all the gifts that you send all of our viewers each week. And I'll tell you, AMSOIL, first in synthetic since 1973. And it's not only oil, guys. They got spray silicone, spray grease, different viscosities of grease and oils, fuel additive, window cleaner for you Second Amendment guys. They've got gun cleaners as well. All right. Terry Good and Works For Me had a little bit of a break today. He's busy working on another project for the American Motocross Museum. So we're going to not have something from Terry Good this week and the International Motocross Museum. I showed you the Roy video. Who else do I have to thank here in the meantime? Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Thank you, Mark Farriester, for all the years of help you've given me, and the gas tanks to you vapor blast for us consistently and so beautifully. FastGuyStuff.com, Sean Gomes. Visit his website, best stickers in the business. And I just mentioned it before because he had a question. Ben's Vintage Mini Bike Podcast, 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks now, is the Hodaka Days. www.hodakadays.org is their website. You'll find out all about the schedule, all the things that are happening there, including the Bad Rock Ride, which happens on June 27th, and all the other cool stuff that happens up there in Athena, Oregon. Susie, we do not have anyone calling in yet.
No, there's.
Are they confused?
No, well, I don't know.
Tell me.
I'm going to tell you, this is what they're saying.
This is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to write it down so people can't hear us?
Right.
All right. Let me see what they're saying. So close, but yet so far. No, that is right.
And I told. And
No, that is right.
So John McNulty had it right then.
But McNulty, it is right because there was a gas shortage or something in 73.
So.
That is right.
Wait a minute.
And I thought.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
So wait a minute. Somebody might have had it before that, so you better clear it up because I told someone no.
All right. You look again.
I don't know who it was now because I told them no.
All right. I kind of humped this up, guys.
You did.
It was my fault. And
I think it was Michael.
You need the nice read tip from Roy.
Michael Bogia. It might have been him.
Mike Bogia?
It might have been, but now I don't know who called because there was like four different phone calls and they all said that.
They did, huh?
They said that.
And I think I was the one.
So you better ask and see who called in. I don't know who called in first though. I can tell by your phone numbers. The first call was at 6:28 and was from Michael Bogia.
Then that's the winner.
And then it's Kokoski? What?
No, Kokoski wanted to know something else.
And then there was another phone call from Carson, California, and then Grenada, California. So.
All right, guys, here's the thing.
You humped it up.
Wait a minute. This is right from Google. Oh, it is right from Google, and it's right. Evel Knievel held a motocross race in conjunction with Snake River Canyon jump attempt in 71, 72, and 74.
So you were wrong.
I was wrong. I thought it was 71, 2, and 72, 3, and 4. Okay.
You were wrong.
All right. I was wrong.
So who was the right?
Who was the first person to call in? Mike Bogia?
Mike Bogia, but I don't know if he gave me the right answer. He's got to be upfront and honest if he gave me the right answer.
All right, guys, you got to type in that you gave us the right answer or not. I'm going to take your word for it.
Right.
And if there are two winners, there are two winners, but it was my fault, guys. I'm sorry. I told Susie it was 72, 3, and 4. It was actually 71, 72, and of course 74. All right, don't everybody get your underwear in a bunch. It's okay. I got posters. I'll give them away. I apologize, Susie, and I apologize for any confusion that I've ever caused anyone.
McNulty. It was McNulty? You sure? James LaPaz?
You look. I got to do a show. The Moto Showcase. Moto Showcase is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Be sure to visit them online at PrestonPettyProducts.com. Tonight's bike was sent in to us by George Ackerman. It is one of my favorites. Blue is one of my least favorite colors. It just doesn't do anything for me except for blue jeans and a girl's eyes. However, the blue on this Rickman is absolutely spectacular. George Ackerman sent it in, and it is a Hodaka Rickman, kind of rare. And George writes to us, it says here, I found this Rickman Hodaka in Texas, and I purchased it a year ago. This was one built in August of 1970. It is number 279 out of 412 made. The Rickman brothers built the frames in England, sourced the gel-coated parts from Avon, and shipped everything to the Steens brothers in California, where they installed the Hodaka 100E engine in the bike. I started on this restoration, but shortly after, I had spinal injuries, and my brother Mark Ackerman took over and completed it. I have it back now, and it's some fittings and some cables detailed to make it complete. This is a total nut and bolt restoration, which requires metric, American, and Whitworth hardware. There are a couple of other non-original period correct items we left, such as beefed up foot pegs and a 60-tooth rear sprocket. The nickel and the chrome was done by Dallas Plating in Dallas, Georgia, all cleaning and plating at Chattanooga Plating in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Others were sourced. All paint and fiberglass was done by Ken White at Ken's Car Star. I want to thank Mark Ackerman for all of his hard work and congratulate him on this restoration. A special thanks to Mac Whitehead, Lee Fabry, Terry Larson, Brian Bellman, and Terry Mitchell. There's some other pictures of it right here. If you need anything else, let me know. If anybody's restoring one of these bikes, you can contact George Ackerman. Of course, the Moto Barn event is coming up a little bit later on early fall in October. And there you have it. Just an absolutely spectacular job by really the Ackerman brothers, George and Mark. I think I remember when you guys, I think you might have bought this bike at York, George. I don't know. But I do remember it, and you guys did an absolutely fabulous job on it. The paint, the fit, the finish. I just love everything about it. George Ackerman, send me your mailing address. I will get you something very, very nice. Compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, guys, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. And again, my apologies. I gave Susie the wrong information. I researched it. I had the right years brought up, but unfortunately, I didn't give Susie the right information. She's looking at, here, you want to see her? Look at this. Here, look at this face. Not happy. Next up, Did You Know? Brought to you by Jeff Kokoski. Did you know? Here we go. Jeff, in last week's What's It Worth segment, Joe showcased a 1970 Husqvarna 250 Cross, formerly owned by Bruce Barron, the director of the iconic motorcycle film On Any Sunday. That got me to thinking about the last 10 minutes of the On Any Sunday with Malcolm Smith, Steve McQueen, and Mert Lowell when they were cow trailing, riding sand dunes in Baja, and the final beach scene out at Camp Pendleton. In those segments, Malcolm and Steve both were on Huskies, but did you know what bike Mert Lowell was riding? If you guessed Harley Davidson, you would be wrong. First, a little background. Mert Lowell was born in Boise, Idaho in 1940. In his teens, he raced both local TTs and motocross events around the Northwest. By 1961, he had moved to LA, and he could race the famed Ascot Dirt Track Park. But at that time, he turned 23. He had turned Dirt Track Pro and had signed a contract to ride with Harley Davidson factory team and would stay there throughout his entire career. Here's one of the pictures we were talking about a little bit earlier of Steve McQueen and, of course, Bruce Brown out in the desert. After finishing a podium numerous times, he finally won his first AMA national race as a pro in September of 1965 at the Sacramento Mile, and he became the Grand National Champion in 1969. We, of course, still talking about Mert Lowell. There he is, probably in 1970, wearing the number 1 plate. At that time, the Grand National Championship consisted of 5 distinct forms of competition, which included mile, dirt track, mile, half mile, short track, TT steeplechase, and road races. From the 1950s through the 1970s, it was the premier motorcycle race series in the U.S. It's no wonder that Lowell was voted AMA's most popular rider of the year 1969. Some other really great pictures of the On Any Sunday crew when they were out there in the desert. There you see them with the cameras. Some colored pictures here of Malcolm Smith, Mert, and of course the legendary Steve McQueen. Let's get back to Jeff's story. Unfortunately for Lowell, mechanical issues would doom his repeat as a champion. Instead, Triumph mounted Gene Romero would win the title in 1970. But it would Malcolm Smith and Steve McQueen who would really become the stars of the movie, especially for us motocross and off-road guys. Those scenes at the end of Malcolm Smith and Mert forever are etched in our minds, of course, with Steve too, and it helped to propel an absolute explosion in dirt bike sales. Yeah, it certainly did. Now, during those final moments of the movie, Malcolm can be seen in the 1970 Husky 250 Cross, while Steve rides a 1970 Husqvarna 400 Cross. But what about Mert? What about Mert? At first glance, we see Mert riding what appears to be a Harley Davidson. After all, at the time, Mert Lowell had a factory contract with Harley. So he needed to be loyal to the brand and would not have wanted to upset the corporate execs and, of course, change his paycheck. And as we still look around here, there's a picture of Mert on the dirt track Harley. There he is on the miler, okay? And we look in this picture right here, well, you can't tell too much about what Mert's riding. He's got the wheel cocked a bit. You can't really see the engine. This is where it gets really, really interesting. Other than the diminutive little Baja 100 that was showcased just a couple of weeks ago by Joe on his show, which is 50% owned by Aramachi, Harley didn't have a large enough displacement off-road bike that he could run Mitch or Mert with the Huskies and Smith and McQueen and that other Husky. You know what it was? I got to read this. It's just so interesting. They borrowed a Greaves 4 MX4 360 Challenger. They cut the tank in half, and they added a middle section to have enough fuel and capacity to ride in the desert. Then, in order to hide the true identity of the bike, they covered over the Greaves badges with the Harley-Davidson decals in order to keep Mert's sponsors happy. Unfortunately, Mert Lowell would only get to run the coveted number 1 plate in 1970. He hung up his racing leathers in 77 due to an inner ear disorder, which really affected his balance. However, during his career, Mert amassed 161. That's 161 wins and AMA finishes. Unbelievable. Next week, I'll continue the story of Mert Lowell, and we'll talk about the surprising impact made on the completely different type of outdoor competition. You know, Jeff, I didn't know about the Greaves. I'd heard about it a few times. We see the picture. Here it is right here. Now you really take notice. You see where it says Harley on the tank?
Yeah.
But you could see that the engine, the round barrel, the side cover, that's all Greaves. Wow. Very, very interesting story by Jeff Kokoski. Always is an interesting story about Jeff Kokoski. While Jeff produces that segment, he produces it. It is sponsored by Bultaco East and Steve Grandis. Be sure to visit them online at bultacoeast.com. And I got a special again this week. Those shocks, not many left. Hagen, 13.5-inch shocks, 340 millimeter, 2-year warranty. They regularly retail for $280 plus shipping. Get over to BultacoEast.com. $230 shipping included. That's $230 shipping included. Susie, have you gotten any further along on my earlier debacle? No.
I think it's McNulty by the way it looks.
Okay. Then it will be just
somebody wants to.
Unless somebody really wants to jump in there and say, look, here's my post. And you know what?
What?
Look, I look at the comments after the show's over. Comment, put it in there. I'll go back up. I will look. I will stand by my word. And whoever did guess 71, 72, and 74, I'll send you a poster, man.
Yeah, but you don't know who called in first. That's the issue. who called it first,
And
and
then
I said no.
Then I don't know. I made a mistake. I'm only human. I did the show 250 times, and this is the first time we've ever had a little bit of a hiccup in our trivia contest. My apologies. Sirius Studios, Susie. You don't want to miss an opportunity to wear some of the hottest garb in the off-road scene. Sirius Studios, catch them at SiriusStudios.co. Thank you, Winters family. All right? This is for when you want to go out there. You're at the beach. You're chilling. You want to go out. You're going to a party. You want to wear something that kind of, reps what you do. So you wear something that's a little low-key from Sirius Studios. And they've got hoodies, sweatshirts, T-shirts, hats, and gear bags. Thank you, Russell Waters. Thank you, Larry Winters, and SiriusStudio.com. That's it. I got to take it. It isn't even hot in the house. I've got to take a break. And the perfect way to take this break is to run a video from Brap Suspension. So let's do that. We'll run a video. I'll get myself a little oxygen.
Okay, Brad.
And we will be back momentarily. And add over here. Susie's back on. Everybody's good. I apologize. Cool. I didn't know. Thank you, Kenny Klaus. What didn't you know, Ken? Susie's looking good, Vintage Mini Bike Lover says. All right. We are going to we're going to get our video going.
Get your video going.
Yeah. From Brap Suspension. And we'll be right back. A little bit more vintage motocross Q&A. Hang on, guys. Here we go. You have to start getting me cue cards like Johnny Carson had.
Hey, you guys
You want me to
doing?
make
Out
some
here in the Brap Shop. This is Roger with Brap Suspension.
Right.
We got a fun little segment for
Great
Joe
connection.
Abate's Vintage Motocross Q&A. And tonight, we're going to be talking about bolts. In this case, this is a linkage bolt that's been a little boogered up. Looks like somebody got the little hammering, trying to get this thing in, and they really beat it up. So how do we smooth that out? Well, I don't have a lathe. The lathe would be nice, chuck that in the lathe, but what I have is I have a DeWalt drill. So here, we're just gonna chuck this baby up in here. Tighten that down. All right, we got that going. Got me a little 150 grit sandpaper. I'm gonna start with that. Get the lube. I'm good. We're just gonna try to smooth this out. We don't want to take off much material, but we want to get rid of all those ridges. So I do this a lot. This is actually shock shafts. Same way, most of the shock shafts will fit into the vice chuck. And I just go about my little polishing. Oh, man, I can feel some rough spots in that. Yeah. So this is a nice little procedure for smoothing out bolts or polishing some bolts. Maybe you've got an axle off your vintage bike or some bolts that have some bad corrosion on them or something. This is a great way to them up. You just use your drill. Every once in a while, if my drill chuck is too small, I will chuck them up in my drill press. That's I use fork tubes. All that drill press does. This with the 150 grit, and then I'll probably go a couple grits higher. I'm not super worried about it being really polished smooth. It's just a linkage bolt. So it's going to go through a steel bushing. But right now it's pretty rough, right? So we're just going to try and smooth this out a little bit. I remember taking this bolt out. I was like, why am I having to whack on this? I use a brass punch a dead blow hammer. So great way to polish up both. A lot in the Brap shop here, getting stuff polished up. So you guys keep it Brappy and enjoy the rest of Joe Abate's Vintage Motocross Q&A show. And we're going to try and keep the tech tip coming. Keep it Brappy, folks.
And there you have it. Great video from Roger Neff and Brap Suspension. Be sure to catch him on Instagram. He's got a great page on Instagram with tons of videos, especially for you modern guys. You know, the upside down forks and certain things like that. Just a lot of great videos from Roger Neff and Brap Suspension. Moving on. We are now at the we're at the part of the show, Sue.
You want your viewer appreciation?
I want my viewer appreciation. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Let's do that. Here, you can jump on there.
So the mag light goes to Rick Emal. Rick Emal. E-M-M-A-L. Rick Emal.
Rick him out.
Send us your address and we'll get it out tomorrow.
Thanks, Rick Amal. You are tonight's winner of that beautiful little mag light. It is telescopic. It's magnetic. It's something certainly very handy to keep around. Go to my personal page. Send me your mailing address. Send me your mailing address, and we will get that light directly out to you. And we've got the Motocross History. Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X. Racer X, available on your newsstand now or available online. There you have it. This week in Motocross History, 1972. I think that was one of the years that Evil ran the race at Snake River. Anyway, 1972 at Schneider Park in Washington, Indiana, a standalone AMA 250-500 Pro National took place, and the winners were Bultaco-mounted Gary Bailey. Here we go. Now that I got the right picture. Bultaco-mounted Gary Bailey on a 250 CZ rider Wyman Pretty. Bailey, who hailed from Florence, California, beat Arkansas CZ rider Tony Wynn, Michigan's John Borg. He was also on a Bultaco in the 500 class. Pretty beat fellow CZ rider Barry Higgins, and he went on to win 2 more nationals on that series. But then Saturday, out in the West Coast rounds, the James Geralds from Zanesville, Ohio. A lot of the top riders were at that series, including Lackey, Jones, and Weiner. They didn't make the trip east for that round, electing to stay on the West Coast, prepare for the Inter-Am series that will be coming up soon in Boise, Idaho. 1978 riders Tommy Croft and Marty Smith went 1 and 2 in the AMA 500 National at Sears Point, with Yamaha riders Mike Bell and Rocket Rex Staten following. Yamaha factory rider Rick Burgett won the second moto, but was a DNF in the first moto. And in the 250 class, it was Bob Hanna continued his dominance with another win on his Yamaha, Kawasaki's Jimmy Weiner. Second, Jimmy Ellis was third on a Honda. 2000. Imagine that. 2000 doesn't seem vintage, huh? 25 years ago. Kawasaki's Ricky Carmichael won his first of what would be a record 8 straight 250-450 national wins at Southwick's MX338 and unlikely 5-1 scores to top a 1-5 of Honda rider Sebastian Tortelli and 2-4 of Suzuki's Robbie Reynard. And Suzuki rider Travis Pastrana was a dominant 1-1 on his RM125, the top the 2-4 of Yamaha of Troy's Stefan Roncata. 4-3 of Steve Lampson, and on a DT, he was on a TLD Honda CR125. All right, that wraps it up this week in motocross history. We're going to get on to the announcements right now. First announcement we have, it's almost July. Before you know it, it will be July 26th and 27th. It will be the weekend of the Mid-Ohio Vintage Days. Your Grand Marshal will be 1982 World Champion Brad Lackey. The featured mark, Suzuki. Don't forget to ask about our revised sponsorship opportunity. We've got new lower prices for 2025, and we can get you out there with the big boys, including Motion Pro Full Circle, Vinco, Preston Petty Products, and anybody else. It's not as expensive as you think, guys. I wish you would join me in the morning at 9 o'clock. I am so cheerful and bright as I have my coffee and bang away on aluminum gas tanks on our new series tank bangers. It happens right here at Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Cheerful?
I am very cheerful in the morning. It happens at 9 o'clock every weekday morning on the Vintage Motocross Q&A page. I bring you tips and tricks. I show you how to bang on the tanks, cut things apart, drill holes, get dents out, scratches, gauges, gouges, you name it, I address it. And no, I'm not really a morning person, but that's neither here nor there. Vintage Motocross and Cross Country is happening. It's got a grass track. It's at Ashcroft Farm. Motocross and Cross Country in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. You know who lives there, don't you? Jeff Kukowski. The crash test dummy, as he recalls him, as he actually calls himself, Al Roof. He'll be at the Muddy Creek National. He'll be there. There'll be a swap meet. They're going to be selling stuff there. That happens on June 21st. That's this weekend. Al's going to have some T-shirts, DVDs, and collectibles. All right. Now, that's the same race right here that we've been talking about. Muddy Creek, June 21st and 22nd. Jerry Maddox will be there. It is a full-on ARMA event for 2 days. Vintage, post-vintage, and everything you would expect from an ARMA National at Muddy Creek. And it's funny because it's been raining every weekend. I don't think it's going to rain this weekend, although the track is named Muddy Creek. Thank you to our sponsors. Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Motion Pro, Boltaco East, Sirius Studio, Vinco, Preston Petty Products, Full Circle Racing. Thank you all for watching Vintage Motocross Q&A tonight. Once again, I'm sorry about the little mix-up earlier on the poster. We'll get to the bottom of it. And you know what? If 2 guys called in or 3 guys called in and we can prove that they called in, I'll look at the phone. I'll send everybody a poster. Everything will be beautiful like when you were first married. Okay? That's it from this week's Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll see you next time. And, hey, Gino, come here. Come here, Gene. Come on, Gino. Come on. There he is. Okay, I got him right here. All right. We'll see you next time on Vintage Motocross Q&A.